Chisme Café y estamos muy felices que todos están aquí. This also feels really weird. I'm on the opposite side.
Buenos dias, todos. I hope everybody's having a good day. We are recording this actually in our normal spot, so it shouldn't be so loud with car noise. So we are happy that everybody tuned in. We'll start with announcements. We don't really have anything crazy. We do have some friends coming to Eau Claire, Wisconsin next weekend.
So yeah, we'll go check out the things in Eau Claire. We did have drinks with a girl that I met in Eau Claire and her honey, and they led us to a place that we're going to try out, Cape Point Brewing?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know. We'll try that out and then go see the normal things probably, but we're really excited to have people come visit.
Besides that, nothing large. We are working on a big purchase, but nothing's finally said and done yet. So we'll just tune in and we'll let you guys know how that works out.
We sent out more orders here this last week. Have some more in the works. I'm also working on my St. Patty's Day sweater. That has taken me way too many hours. But I mean, it's something different. Trying to grow my skills outside of just bears.
So we do appreciate everybody who has ordered, and we are working on the orders. By we, Morgan's doing most of the legwork on that. I'm just the one pushing out content and making sure people see us. So we do appreciate that. So if you are waiting for your order, I know there's some few people, you'll see it within the next couple of weeks. And I do appreciate everybody who has taken the time to buy some cool gear. I don't know if the camera can see it, but I am wearing my shorts, so they are pretty cool.
And I have yet to make myself anything. So if you all just keep buying, we can buy a machine, and then it won't be 2 weeks. It'll be like a week.
Yeah. So that's another month that we're looking at. So kind of trying to automate some of this stuff. But we have to make sure we get enough clientele into work. But that just brings up the cheese myth for the week. Morgan, do you have any cheese myth?
Yeah, so Christian wearing a hat. You should do it how you did it.
No.
Yes, please. Okay, so this man had this hat set for my head, and it was like on top of his head like this, not even close to how it should be.
It's because Morgan, she doesn't know the style. This is how you wear it in the hood.
No, but it wasn't even like that. It was like this.
It looks cool, but Morgan's a hater, and I had to fix my hat. This hat is actually for one of my buddies out in Logan, Utah, hide coating. So if you are out in the area, you are listening, and you want some
so he powder coats.
Yes.
I know he was working on roll cages.
Yes, for some Jeeps. So if you have anything that wants to get powder coated, so it's a lot of
like
car
wheels.
items, wheels, roll cages. He even does door handles and door hinges and garage hinges if you ask him to.
Oh.
So hide coating, if you are out in that area, reach out.
Really good work.
Name's Taylor, so just say that we sent you from our video. Yeah, that's the hat marketing.
Besides a friend that has a good business.
Yes. That's about what we have. You have any more cheese me on that end?
No.
Okay, so I have a lot just because I did a lot of research. So the first one is Shane Vogt bought a brand new GMC. By brand new, it's pre-owned, but new to him. GMC Denali. It's black. The Votes have a thing about black trucks. But he got a new truck, so if you do see him, please click him off. But yeah, you'll see him in Sioux Falls rolling around in a GMC Denali. The next thing is my cousin Eduardo Lalo was out in California planning to go to Mammoth Mountain. but they had to cancel their plans to go snowboarding because
they tried twice.
Yes, they couldn't get up the mountain because the roads were closed just because of the amount of snow they got.
And the amount of snow they've gotten in the West is insane.
Yeah.
Like, rest in peace that we're in the Midwest. But, like, I mean, it's really great that everyone is getting a lot of snow. They
For the
really
moisture.
need it.
Yeah.
But some of the pictures and videos that I see of people just trying to get up a mountain, like, there's snowbanks over, like, buildings and stuff. It's just insane how much they're just getting dumped on.
Yeah, because I think the crazy thing was, like, they had 3 to 4 feet of snow within 24 to 36 hours, which when you put it in, like, you start realizing that's a lot of snow. I mean, you don't have a lot of places to go, and it's been like that all year for them, so they've got a lot of snow.
Like, it would be really great to go, like, snowboarding, skiing, but, like, you can't get up the damn mountain.
So that was Eduardo's adventure out there. Yeah, for the most part, he said he had fun. He went to see his friend Richard Yang, but the other cheese that I have is in regarding to vitamin D. Supplementing may lead to feeding off dementia. So the report said that there was 12,000 people in this study. It was a 10-year study. And they were discussing the supplementing vitamin D. So vitamin D actually it clears amyloid in the brain, which the accumulation of that I believe is a protein in the brain, and the accumulation of that actually leads to dementia. Actually, consuming vitamin D also helps reduce, just to build up dementia. So there was a 10-year study of all these people, and they did people who didn't supplement vitamin D and people who did. But there's also, it's a genetic trait in the situation. If you have family that has dementia, and there's a protein in your genetic coding, you are more likely to get dementia, but they're looking into actually supplementing vitamin D to aid you to either reduce dementia or prevent it. It's still a further ongoing study, so there's a lot more information that needs to get pulled out, but it's just, it's good insight to supplement a vitamin to help you, reduce, in that sense, dementia.
Right, and I think vitamin D outside of that has a lot of good benefits. Like, it supports your immune system, and even if you are out in, like, the sun a lot, like, I've read studies that you should still supplement because you're still just deficient in vitamin D.
Yes.
You can only absorb so much via, like, your skin.
Yes, and there's also some people, based on their genetic proteins, they don't efficiently absorb vitamin D from the sun. The best way to absorb it is through their stomach, through their gastrobiology system in your stomach. So the best way would be to supplement it. So it's just something to put in. I know we're on the younger age spectrum, but it's always something to consider. Anything that will prevent you 20, 30 years from now to help out.
Mm-hmm. I thought of one other thing that I wanted to bring up, but I forgot.
And then the last one is we're not the only species that have clicks. So another study that just came out showed that a specific type of flamingos, they create clicks. So if you're a flamingo who is bold, you usually try to hang out with flamingos that are bold. And if you're shy, you hang out with the flamingos that are shy. This was in a specific species of flamingos. So we're not the only species that develops cliques and likes to hang out with people with the similar characteristics.
So was it both males and female flamingos, or it didn't say?
No, it didn't specify on gender. The only thing it did say is that they had 2 groups of flamingo species. The other species, it was more of a kingdom where it would be every person in the group has a specification of what you do. So if you're the leader, you're a leader, and if you're just a basic worker, you're on the basic worker, but you end up in your own clique in the sense of that. But
interesting. I mean, that it's very similar to, and why I asked about, like, male females is I think women are a lot They form cliques a
Yeah.
lot easier, and I think as women, it's harder to make friends.
Yeah.
We were talking the other day about this, and women, I think, are more judgmental when you meet someone, where if they express them, like, their values and their, like, differences right away when you meet them, you're probably not going to relate to them and probably not going to try to continue the friendship. Whereas, like, men, I feel like, are less judgmental, and they kind of just go with the flow more. So you could have men be friends that are really, really, really different, but it's few and far between that women are, like, best friends with someone who's, like, total opposite spectrum. Like, you could, like, my best friend, like, Kayla and I, we're very different. Like, but
Kind of.
there's a lot of similarities as well. So there has to be that, like, common ground, whereas guys, I feel like they don't necessarily have to have that common ground.
Yeah, I mean, it's, in my sense, my experience with any friendship I've made, usually if you're willing to drink or go out for a drink, we'll get along. Just because you need that, especially for meeting new people, you need that social barrier to break down. But I've never had a problem where I don't like someone, or that's also just in my case because I like to talk to people, so I usually know a little bit of everything, so I can have a conversation with most people. But you always try to find a common ground, right? But it is definitely a lot easier for males than it is, again, for females. Because guys can talk about anything, literally anything, and it just will continue on. So, yeah, I understand. It's definitely harder for females than it is males. But as the cheese man, that's all I got. I know it's a lot of scientific stuff, but that's kind of what I like to see. And I mean, it keeps you guys updated on what's going on in the world. But the topic today, just because it's something I wanted to... What?
No, never mind. I won't bring it up.
What is it?
Oh, I was just gonna... Okay, so... I remember...
We'll cut that.
I was just going to talk about, and it's, like, the worst thing ever. Okay, so, we are now not snowboarding as much, spending more time at home. So when I am working on the Bears, I and Christian's gone have been watching the show The Perfect Match, which is totally trash TV, but it is, like, all the, like, dating shows that they have on Netflix, all the people who, like, don't find love just go on this. So if you are wanting, like, a mindless show to kill time, like, definitely check it out. But it's, like, trash TV.
Yeah, I fell asleep. I took a nap yesterday. I don't ever take naps, but I had to work third shift at one of my customers is on Friday night, so I didn't get home till about 5 a.m. And I woke up and Morgan was watching this show, and it was just garbage. Like, I think it's like build up drama and relationships, and it's just not my cup of tea. But Morgan was I just watched it for the background and I think the cheese man, the drama that's in there. So
yeah.
But
sorry, we can go on to the actual main topic now.
But yeah, I wanted to talk about just kind of time management. So I did ask a couple people out there what they would rate themselves 1 to 10 on time management.
What would you rate yourself?
I would say an 8. 8. I wouldn't give myself a 10 because sometimes I slack. But just a little background on time management. It's how well you can handle, your time when in regards to projects, work, life. Organizing your time intentionally to be more efficient is kind of what the term is on Google. This will also lead to great productivity, less stress, and better professional reputation, and achieve life goals. So when you look at it that way, I would consider myself about an 8 on time management. I was telling Morgan that before this job, so my job kind of is dependent on what my customers want to see me and what time I need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So before that, I worked as a production manager for a potato company, And my time would be dependent on just the production, right? Understanding production, how long it's going to take. So I didn't really use a calendar. My schedule was kind of just week to week, kind of understanding what I needed to get done that week. This job has definitely made my time management, understanding my time and how long things are going to take, a lot more important, because as of right now, I sometimes have to go to Iowa, I'm in Wisconsin, I'm in Minnesota. I'm all over the place, and I need to know how long it's going to take me to get there, how many days I'm going to be there, drive time, and what I'm going to accomplish.
And you're finally kind of like getting in the groove of like making sure that things are scheduled by each other, so you don't have to drive 3 hours to Mankato, drive back, 2 days later drive to Mankato. Like, if something happened, obviously you would have to do that. But
yes. So time management, that's very important, just because, like Morgan said, I need to know if I can meet 2 or 3 customers in the area instead of just one, because drive time is killer. My job, I put this week I put over.
You probably put like
15 to 2,000 miles. So I've been all over the place. But that regards to time management, because you have to schedule everything, right? I have to ask my customers weeks in advance if this day is going to work and line it up using my calendar. As my previous job, I just knew I had to get done during the week, what needed to get accomplished. So I have relied on more on a calendar.
So outside of like your big customers, I know you have like paperwork, and how do you prioritize that like within your week? I know that's probably a big difference between your job and my job, so just talk through how you prioritize that in your week.
So what I do is, let's just go back to last week. So sometimes I get sporadic things. We did bring in a new customer in, and they are in Iowa. So this is kind of sporadic in the sense that it wasn't scheduled, but it needs to get done. So on priority list, I had to get up. But paperwork-wise, if it can get pushed back, then it's a less priority, unless it's an order or something they need as soon as they can get it. Like if they're out of a chemical, then I need to make sure that's the first thing I do when I get to the hotel. Sometimes I do it in my car. I'm doing when I'm eating, just because in our policy, we need a 5-day lead time, and to make sure that the chemicals are able to get there within 5 days, and 5 days of production time. So depending on if it's urgent, like they need the chemical now, then I do the paperwork. But this week, since I was busy from Monday till Thursday, I did not touch any of my paperwork till Friday.
Gotcha.
But that's how I push it back. You try to do it, I can't do it when I'm driving because it's unsafe. I can't be typing. But you try to do it when you have a little downtime. Sometimes I don't have to see my customer until 10 o'clock at night. So I do it at the hotel between then, and then just try to get it done that way.
Makes sense.
But the first thing, if you are looking at time management, if you're terrible at time management, you kind of want to assess yourself, right? So if I asked you to assess your time management, Morgan, how would you approach that?
So I think like life and work are very different for me. So I would probably say like a 7. Like with my work, it's very driven by Monday afternoons. I have to do all things metrics. So I get all my responsibilities for Monday and Tuesday done on Monday, so I don't have to really focus on much of metrics on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, very minimal, and then I'm done. So really like structuring my time of like, I know what I have to do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then fill in the blanks throughout the rest of the day. So I think one of the reasons why I put myself as like a 6 or a 7 is when I started working, like I didn't know how to structure my calendar. I didn't know what time blocking is. I didn't know, like, very first world problems of going from college to business, where you're now trying to figure out how you work, how the business works, all of the things. And now I've been with my company for over 3 years, trying to like getting in the groove of things and understanding how I best work. So I am now starting to try to time block more, putting more things on my calendar, where I used to kind of just send an email with a due date and say 3 weeks and then just hope that I remember it. And then if someone was like, hey, where is this? Like, do you have it? Then I would have to follow up after it was due.
Yeah.
So like now just kind of getting that under control. One other thing is, I think with prioritizing, in my mind, there's 2 different tracks of like what has to be done and what you want or what you think has to be done. So like business wise or you wise. And one of the things that I know is I might procrastinate a little bit more on like what the business needs. I won't miss the due date, but I'll always get it done. But I always focus on like what I want to do and what really fulfills me, because once I have that fulfillment, I'm more willing to jump over to these less important things to me that are less fun. So I take that like fulfillment and put it over to something that might be more tedious, take more time, something I'm not super like thrilled about doing. So that's something that I do, just as a tip.
Yeah. So that when you're assessing your time management, as you can see, Morgan follows like kind of a routine schedule. She looks at what she needs to prioritize. And just from, something I've never talked to Morgan about, but I'm assuming just from listening to her is that she's very organized, and she's always actually very organized. And that's the big thing. So the big thing is if you're assessing it and it looks like you're not organized, that's probably going to be your first step into making sure that you are organized, even if it's at your desk, making sure things are clean.
And there's so many, like now, if you're like a Microsoft 365 user, there's like so many products out there to help organize your work. And like, I mean, you would look at my desk and be like, what the heck, Morgan? How do you stay organized with all my like weird notes on 5 different sheets of paper? But like that works for me, but I also use the products available to me.
So make sure that if you do have products to use them, most people don't like to, but the best step is to keep organized. And then understanding prioritization, which Morgan did a good example. So that, when you're looking at it, you got to make sure that what's important, what is due, what needs to get done. If something isn't due for 6 weeks from now and that's the first thing you're doing, you have something that's due this week, you got to really analyze that, that's not your priority. Your priority is to get done what's on this plate this week.
And if you're struggling, like, identifying your priorities and it doesn't have a due date, ask. Like, what's the worst thing that they're going to say? Like, it's due in a month or it's due tomorrow. Then you know that you have to adjust and be like, okay, well, the things that I wanted to do today, like, I can't do that. Yeah. So I have to do what the business needs.
Exactly. And then, scheduling. As Morgan hit up, making sure it's on a schedule, on a calendar, making sure that you know when it's due. Because when you realize when it's due, what time it's going to get to, you can helps you prioritize and stay organized. You see how it all trends the same way. So make sure that you do know when it's due, when it needs to get done, or if it needs to be rushed, just because then you can prioritize in a better sense.
So did it talk, like any of your research, did it talk about like working with individuals who have like different time management skills or like prioritizing?
No, so I didn't look at that aspect of things, which is a very good point, because some people are just hot garbage when it comes to time management. Like they wait to the last minute to get things done, and then it affects your schedule. But that's also looking at it as a routine, right? If you already know Betsy and quality department A waits to the last minute to give you something, then you already know that you should have everything ready around, if it's paperwork, everything ready around for when she gives it to you, so you're not stumbling.
Controlling all the things that you can control.
Because there's no reason you can't control their variables, but you can definitely control the variables that you are handed.
And I think that's something that I'm continuing to learn. Like I look at myself, and this is gonna sound like super conceited, but I feel like I'm a very high performer. And there are people who just don't perform the same tasks at the same rate. And that's something that I've been working through, of just like, okay, I did my part, this is what I can control, and what else can I control around this process so it's still there on time. So like, what can I do to help them without doing their work that they need to complete? Whether it's follow-up, whether it's asking if they need help, like sharing my best practices of like, how do I get things done so fast?
Yes, and that's gonna, that's all dependent on people. And Morgan hit it on the point. You also, like on a management style situation, if you have people that are underperforming or aren't at the same capability of you, sometimes you have to, I would say, cover your own ass, just in the sense that making sure that everything that comes up on you is covered. So if you have an individual that isn't performing well, that's, taking their time, you make sure that's documented, sending emails, highlights, because you don't want to, if it comes down to it, you don't get the stuff done because of variable A, you actually want to make sure that you have it covered and documented, just because questions will be brought up and they'll be asking, but it's just good to cover your end on that end, just because it's like the best way to look at it is when you're working time management also is like on a group project, just to make sure that your responsibilities are covered, everything is covered. And if that individual doesn't get their stuff done, then they're accounted for on that end.
Right.
But to finish it off is goal settings, right? If you set a goal to accomplish project A, B, and C by the 12th, having that goal will keep you motivated and keep you intentional into making sure that you are using your time efficiently.
Right. And then I think breaking those down into smaller tasks for my time management. I know there's lots of research that you should only have 3 things on your to-do list in a day, and those are absolutely things that have to get done in the day. So if you have those 3 things that really impact your business that you got done, okay, now you can look at all of the other things and like, how can you get part A done on Monday, Tuesday, and continue on, But like I mentioned earlier, it's just really making sure you're investigating and using your tools that you have available and asking people what they recommend for their time management. If you really look up to someone who has good time management, ask them, because that's how I've learned a lot, and I'm nowhere near perfect, but just understanding how they do it and then just developing a way that works for you.
Yeah. So, Morgan hit it on all key points. And that's just as on my side of work, making sure that, everything gets accomplished is a big thing, because, my job is dependent on a customer, right? If they're happy, then I'm happy, then my business does well. So, just always keeping that in mind, that if you're organized, you schedule, and you have goals, your time management schedule, you'll start feeling that you have
more
enough
control
time
over your time.
Instead of time telling you what you need to get done. So that's kind of what I wanted to discuss, just time management, just because just on this week, I've had a crazy week and I had to accomplish a lot. So just something to discuss, talk with your friends or coworkers, make sure that you understand how well they handle their time.
Feel free to drop what your time management tricks are in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe while you're at it.
And follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
Yeah. Other than that, I think we're good, but happy color blocking, my friends, or time blocking. Color coding also helps, but time blocking. And let us know your tips and tricks.
And then we'll see you on the next one.
Next week. Maybe with guests. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
Adios.